Who is the Red Queen? We know that answer pretty much by now, but we're still going to go back through and try and hunt down all the remaining endings we can get. It seems like there were 2 main endings and a bunch of dead endings, so we're going to jump around a little bit, show off anything new we find. Let's do it to it. Now that we know what's in the box, let's sneak around and take a peek. What could go wrong, right? I tiptoed over to the other side of the table and surveyed what was around. Couldn't help but feel the headless slab of human watching me, but I ignored the Red Queen's body, knowing that I would be seeing it often for a while. Looking over my shoulder, I ascertained that the Hatter had yet to return. I moved to find the present box on the cluttered table. The Hatter hadn't tied up the box particularly at all. Could open it and close it as if I had never disturbed this mysterious prize to begin with. Cracked open a small gap so that nothing could come flying out. Nothing escaped from the box. Instead, I heard a strange, strangled noise from whatever lied inside. A gurgling, drowning voice that caused chills to settle on the back of my neck. In one go, I took the lid off the box. Inside was a head, a bloodied head. The head seemed so familiar, but I couldn't quite make out the face as if the box had been jostled. I squinted. Clever hiding it from us, saving the face reveal for the final segment. Spinning, the world was spinning. A sharp pain burst through my temple, and I rested a palm on my head to stop a growing, pulsing headache in my skull. I reached out a shaking hand to adjust the head in the box. Step, step, step. Are we gonna see it? Footsteps interrupted me. Hi, Hatter. I thought I only just said not to peek, Alice. Hatter brandished a hammer in her hand, the head and face a glowing red as if it had been left on the stove. Cheaters get what cheaters deserve. I backed up, crashing into the table, nearly tripping on my own cloak. She raised her arm with the hammer in hand and... Crack. Dead end. We got a dead end. Got the dead man's hand. 68%. Oh, almost nice. Almost nice. Darn. The next obvious heal move we could do... It's like, why would you do this the first time unless you're intentionally trying to be a monster? Heal the bird. The more it chirped, the worse its voice grated on my ears. I picked up the bird in my hand, thinking I should shut it up. You shouldn't offer things you can't accomplish. Chirp? Chirp. Without thinking, I squeezed the bird in my hand. It let out a strangled cry and pecked at my skin, any skin it could hit, squirming and wriggling before it went still between my fingers. Now my palm was dirty, dripping with bird. Ugh. I shook my hand as if that would help get rid of some of the filth and wiped the rest off with a handkerchief that I surely had to throw away. Oh, hi, don't mind me, I just killed a bird. Now, obviously, as I've mentioned before, pretty sure the big bird signposts when we shrink that since we were nice to his small bird friend, he'll help us. We weren't nice to him. Let's shrink and see what happens. Eating a mushroom from the right, I immediately began to shrink. The world around me swelled in size, became tiny, so tiny I could disappear. Before I could look around, a gust of strong wind blew me from my feet. Picked myself back up to my feet and saw a monstrous bird before me, looming over my body with a great shadow. No, I had been the one who shrank, so the bird was not monstrous. I was simply diminished. The ground trembled as it stepped towards me as if to step on me. I rolled just out of the way. Chirp! You killed her! Who again? Jeep! Jeep! Brother. My unintentionally voiced question was a mistake. The bird lunged at me, made a mad dash out of the way, just barely avoiding the hurtling mass that came my way. Just as I gasped, I catch my breath, its clawed foot slammed down on me. A nail pierced through my shoulder. I heard bone crack. The bird grabbed me and threw me like a rag doll to the ground again, forcing the air out of my lungs. Pushing down with the screaming pain in my body, I focused on my racing heart and tried to get away, only to be hit by the bird again. I bit through my tongue in shock and choked out a mouthful of spit and blood. Its beak snapped around one arm and tore. Oof! Rip. Rip. Bird crushed down on my leg and pulled. Next went the other leg. This is what you get! It screamed with a mouthful of my blood, chucking my limbs across the grass. My remaining arm extended forward to grab the ground and try to get away. My consciousness spun. I didn't know which way it was going. I just needed to get away. I needed to drag this body away somewhere. Everything turned so cold already. I was going to die. I was going to die. Bird stepped at me with all its weight and with one, no two, 3 vicious stabs, chopped off the last arm into a pulp. Crack. Squelch. This bird was a monster. I twisted my neck to look at the thing that would kill me. I was going to kill this thing if I had the chance. With one thrust, its beak gored through my head. Ooh. Splat. Not a good way to go. Dead. Not a good way to go indeed. Makes me one. Like, we go through. We seem to hit a point later on in the game where we start dying, and then we start sort of looping into new worlds. Or I should say, not looping into a new world, but just sort of looping back through time, so to speak. And with the setup at the beginning, it's just falling into Wonderland. Does that make these dead ends canon in a way? I wonder. And maybe I'm just postulating again. But alas. I think next up, we're going to load back in. And grow. Which means we can progress the plot with this early dive into Red Queen territory. Because this is perhaps a entirely optional bit of cruelty. While it seems canonically, no matter what our choices are beforehand, when we encounter Cheshire and sort of brawl with her, we really dip down into that territory of cruelty. Which, I don't know, I guess I wish we could avoid somehow? But I suppose that was done in a sense. If I had to again throw out my own questionable theories, I'd say it was done in a sense to like give us that undeniable comparison to Red Queen. And I suppose that encounter does have the chance to cruelly rip off Cheshire's arm, as opposed to make her do it, but still, overall, that scene is very much Red Queen vibes overall. Which, I don't know why I'm thinking about that now, but I wish there would have been a way to go through that less overtly cruelly. Since the ultimate end confrontation seems to be deciding whether you're the Red Queen or Alice in this context. Since, unquestionably, the Red Queen is a part of, and Alice are one and the same. Be they entities in different worlds, or a part of Alice's personality, IRL, or whatnot, but enough jibber jabber, let's grow. Get my Rita Repulsa voice going. Make my monster grow! That was terrible. Not doing that again. I ate a left mushroom. Immediately began to grow. My line of sight rose higher and higher as if I were a bean sprout. Once I stopped growing, I could reach the top of the towering tree if I reached out my arm. Fantastically, my clothes grew with me. I cautiously pinched the silver key and removed it from the tree. I want to get lightly, so as not to break it with my now giant hands. The key I now had, but the cage I could not open. It was much too big. Why don't we just fucking RoboCop bend the bars of the cage? The magic will wear off. In the meantime, would you accompany me to chat, Alice? Whee! Oh, okay. We just shrunk back down. Okay. We're rolling. So we've canonically saved our Red Queenness. I suppose our next course of action is to be cruel to Cheshire. Oh right, there is this, isn't there? Let's go to Not a Cliff. I tumbled through the bushes, rolling in the direction the sign said was not a cliff. As I made good distance from the cat, I felt the ground disappear underneath me. Whoosh! It was all air below me. In a desperate flail, I grabbed onto a rock on the cliffside with one hand. I should have expected this from Wonderland. My injured shoulder throbbed. As I tried to use that arm's hand for a second point at the cliff, I found that I couldn't pull my weight with that side. The uninjured side barely clung on. The rock dug into my flesh and my fingers creaked. A trickle of blood started down my palm. The rock as well shuddered as a hairline fracture showed itself. Ooh, that's bad. I tried to find a foothold with my legs. Oh, a hairline fracture in the rock at the cliff. Okay. For some reason, when I read hairline fracture, my mind jumped to, oh, my arm is breaking right in front of me. That's not good at all. This is just as not good, though. I tried to find a foothold with my legs, but even the slightest swing could throw me downward to my demise. With the angle of the cliff, I had no way to try. I winced. Still here? The Cheshire Cat looked down on me. Pacing back and forth, she pretended to contemplate what to do next while her shoulders shook with mirth. I squeezed my eyes shut to try and block out my dizziness. Why are you doing this? I had a bit of a revelation that Wonderland was mad, and that's all. You and I were all mad. We both seem to have forgotten something very important. Even now, I can't seem to remember what it is. Just a bout of madness, Alice. I see. Sweat, probably more blood than sweat, made my grip on the rock slippery. Amusement at seeing me struggle showed on the cat's face as her grin grew and her tail of black flame roared. I don't suppose you'd help me up. Depends on what you mean. She extended her right arm and grabbed my wrist. Ooh! With a firm pull, she tore my hand off of my rock and held me up by the wrist. That's gotta hurt. I dangled in midair, feeling her lift me upward. And let go. Long live the Queen. No! Air whooshed past my ears. Long live the Queen. Did I call that or did I call that? I love it. I was falling. Crack. I was no longer falling. We're all just a little bit mad. There is still a lot to see here. I don't know where to go about getting those, though. The last two. Yeah, I suppose this encounter is meant to, like I was saying before, give us this impression. Who are you? Outsider or temporary visitor? Just about figured out the most important part. Much too similar to the Mad Queen. She's been dead for a while now. I think you already know. Can't put it into words for some reason. Just the way you look at the world. But you're definitely the same type of person. This world can't afford another Red Queen. See... It is interesting seeing Alice get so overtly cruel in this encounter. I suppose giving her that choice to kill the bird early on is a way of making you go, what? Why is this an option? And this just overtly confirms it. Though I wonder if you could have... If there wouldn't have been a way to... It's just me throwing out random questionable ideas. What if there would have been a way to get through this with without going full cruel and saying stuff like this? Criminals need to be locked up. Criminals need to be locked up. And where is it? I decide that I prefer this nuisance out of my hair. That is a very Red Queen line. See, if you had gone through and not hurt the bird, and whatnot, like maybe there'd be a way to go through this without going overtly Red Queen, and just have Cheshire's comments about, you're much too similar to the Red Queen. Who are you? Visitor of this world. You're just like her. Whatnot. See, you're just like her. You remind me too much of her. The world can't afford another Red Queen. That's a perfectly viable justification for Cheshire to attack Alice and try to kill her. And I feel like if you were going full I'm Alice and not the Red Queen, you could go through that. Like, play it off as Alice just fighting for survival. Instead of, I'm gonna fucking kill you, because I want you out of my hair. Could still have Alice put up a rather competent defense, and overpower her, and whatnot. And just have her come out of this thinking, what the fuck was she talking about? What does she mean I'm just like the Red Queen? Had her help. I just plant that seed of doubt. Which is eventually... Like, there's enough subtle stuff in her narration and inner monologue. There's enough what comes off as, like, conversation. Those bits of narration that addresses Alice directly in a way that could come off as, that's the Red Queen. Addressing Alice directly in some way. There's enough of that would make a pacifist and Alice route give you enough doubt to make you question Alice until, of course, it is fully revealed by Hannah. Then again, if you decide to kill the bird, you could go. This would work perfectly well if you killed the bird early on. I think it would have been nice to see a slightly different version of this if you didn't kill the bird. It does say a lot. It does say a lot, I think, that killing the bird is an option in Alice's head. That this Red Queen side of her is a part of her in some degree. And in medicine, I actually really like that. I'm babbling again. Tear it off. Grabbed hold of the Cheshire Cat's right arm and pulled. The cat screamed. The arm creaked. Be quiet for a bit, won't you? As I pulled, I heard a myriad of tearing and ripping noises, sounds that human flesh should not make. She screamed herself hoarse, shaking under me. Feeling her erratic gasps, I figured that she could barely breathe. Her eyes dilated, crying. From the gurgling I heard from her throat, I guessed that she must have bitten fully through her tongue. Ooh, that's not good. I dug my fingers into the arm even more harshly to wrench it off. Cruelty route! Slowly but steadily, I removed the arm from the cat through brute force. With a final squelch, the arm popped off from where it had been attached. The cat also stopped making noise around that time. Blood splattered all around me, dirtying my clothes and the limb I sought to retrieve. Really a little annoying. The red dripped all over the grass around us. I sat on her prone body for a moment to rest. Looking at my handiwork, I wondered if perhaps I had gone a little far. However, it was better to get trouble out of the way. I wobbled to my feet. I kicked the body, ascertaining that she was unconscious. Yeah, cruelty route. We've now done two cruelty this run. Holding the arm in one hand, I dragged the cat along the ground. It left 2 trails of red behind me, one from the cat and one from the recently detached limb. The direction labeled not a cliff was a cliff. What a convenient garbage disposal spot. Ooh. I hauled the cat's body as close to the cliff's edge as I could. Placing the arm to the ground to free up my hands, I lifted her and flung her off the 3 cruelty. I knew she was disposed of. Jesus. Now there was no more Cheshire Cat. Whew. Yikes. We passed out, we woke up, and... Good question. Who will we see? Just because we haven't seen it yet. Looking around, I found that I was at the White Queen's garden. A raspy sound flowed out of my throat like gravel. Swallowing, I let out a grumble from the discomfort. Rolled to my side in discomfort before turning around again, feeling both a heat burning the back of my neck and a chill running through my whole body. Alice, you still caught colds like this. You're already so big. I blamed the cat. The voice in my head, you too, could blame the cat. The voice in my head, you too could blame the cat. Acknowledging it? What I said earlier? Drink some water, Alice. The White Queen appeared out by my side with a cup of warm water. Lifting the cup to my mouth, she slowly tilted it for me to drink. Clumsy as she was, much of the water spilled past my lips. She's trying. Then she retrieved a bowl of an unidentifiable dark liquid that smelled not quite like wine, yet not quite like anything else either. I had some medicine prepared for you. It should help you get better. I opened my mouth like a baby bird as she moved a spoonful of medicine towards me. Here comes the choo-choo train. As it entered my mouth, I recoiled in disgust, sputtering at the taste. The metal of the spoon knocked against my throat, throwing me into a coughing fit and spilling the spoonful. Alice, are you all right? The White Queen quickly moved the spoon away. Taking a wet towel from a fairy light, she wiped away the spilled medicine. This is just medicine. It's... bitter. Must I drink it all? The medicine is good for you, Alice. In this world, there are many painful, bitter things that are good for you, so it would be best if you take it. Could not disagree, but the way her voice dipped made my heart ache. Wanted to disagree. Disregarding the taste that made me want to hurl, I took the bowl from her and gulped the medicine all down. I resisted gagging as I swallowed. Bitter. This medicine was much too bitter. My eyes watered from disgust. Good, Alice. She pet my head. Then she popped a piece of candy into my mouth. Sweet, milky flavor melted in my mouth, masking the bitter but not completely ridding my tongue of its misfortune. Sweet. The candy was sweet. I liked sweet. After I finished the candy, the White Queen gave me some more warm water and had me continue lying down to rest. White Queen, you're a little clumsy, but I appreciate you taking care of me. I haven't had anyone. She held my hand and squeezed, reassuring me that she was here. Thank you. I let a yawn, feeling a haze float into my mind. Perhaps the medicine had begun to take effect. No, Alice, you're different from her. She never showed me this side. Not even at the very end. Not even then. She murmured to herself, thinking that I would not hear. Alice, perhaps she was looking at you now. Although she was always looking far away, perhaps at this moment she was looking at you, even just a little. My eyelids grew so heavy that I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer. The unsolicited comment there. She never ever showed me this side, not even at the very end. So White Queen's not even trying to deny it. Good night, Alice. She laid a kiss on my forehead. Too tired to say anything in response, I fell into the realm of dreams. Oh. After a few days of rest under the White Queen's care, I recovered to full health. I never wanted to taste medicine again. When you assemble the Red Queen, will you come to visit again? Maybe, if I have the chance before I go. Bidding goodbye to the White Queen, I stopped by the Hatter's place to drop off a limb. Red Queen was nearly assembled, missing only her head and a fourth limb. Onward I continued with my search so that she could send me home. All right. The Duchess. Why don't we take the Hatter? Wonder this. I turned to the Hatter, who was having her usual tea time, and invited her. Hatter, won't you accompany me to a ball? I rather won't. Alice, did you have to request it that way? I'll trade you a favor for a favor. If you'll come to the ball with me, I can do something for you. Take some pity. Alice has no friends. Alice has no friends. No friends, no pets, no siblings, no one, none. Do favors have flavor like butter? I would say I have at least one of the above. Favors or flavors? Or butter? What sort of favor would you offer me, Alice? A limb? A tongue? A heart? Alice, you don't have anything that I want that I can't get myself. A cup for your sandwich, Alice. Here's the salt. I passed her the pepper as she slid the salt and a cup of tea over to me. Filling with the salt container, I tasted a spoonful of humiliation atop my tongue. I have no friends. She says she has no friends. She really has no friends. You have no friends? What am I? March's favorite old butter sticks? Well, if you would. If you would. She says it. I would really rather not. A hatter doesn't matter around the nobles who just like the flatter. I'm no good with nobles, after all. I'm just a hatter. For a second, her voice dipped. Hatter is better off here, all alone. I barely heard the Hatter's low words. It's also still tea time. How can we go off to a ball when we're yet to finish afternoon tea? She stirred her tea, watching as I slumped in my seat and played with the salt. But I rather appreciate you. My heart skipped a beat. Why, Alice? Why, Alice, just why did you find that slight smile somewhat charming? She is charming. Blink! The sound of my teaspoon hitting against the rim of my cup broke me out of my thoughts. I looked down. Putting the cup to my mouth, I took a sip and found that I had put salt into my tea. Terrible. I'll accompany you, Alice. When is this ball? Anytime. It's not very nice of you to say that it's not tea time here. Here, then. Not very good of you to be biased against tea time, don't you know? We finished off our tea and sandwiches. With a few more sips, I sneakily dumped the salted tea behind my armchair. The Hatter put the dormouse and March Hare away. After lingering at the tea table for a few moments longer, we got up to leave. She waved goodbye to the puppets, hesitant as if scared of leaving this place. And he used the shoddy map on the back of the invitation card to find our way to the Duchess's place. After a walk, we arrived at the manor. The Hatter shook her legs, as if just that bit of walking had tired her out. Then again, the bags under her eyes conveyed that she hadn't slept well for a while. A guard stopped us at the entrance. "Halt! Please show us your invitation card." I handed the guard the card. He looked it over, glancing at me and the Hatter, before returning it to me. The guard gestured and led us inward a few steps through the entryway. "To enter, guests must provide an arm. The arm will be returned to you whenever you wish to leave the party." An arm? A limb? The guard nodded. "Please provide an arm." Uncharacteristically, the Hatter said nothing the entire time to the guard. She warily looked at his sheathed sword and shuffled behind me. "You may not enter without providing an arm." Now we get this same choice. An arm. This guard was getting annoying, repetitive. "Please provide an arm." Would this arm suffice? I extended my own arm to the guard, goading him to take it. If an arm the entrance required, then an arm I would provide. The guard nodded, leading us to the side of it and having me keep the arm outstretched above a table. He retrieved a clean, shining blade. The blade glittered with the sun like the moon. Interesting how White Queen tries to stop us from doing it. Hatter doesn't want to be involved in any of this, but I should explain the difference. The blade glittered with the sun like the moon. Slash! The clean cut, my arm came straight off and fell to the table with a small bounce. A sharp pain hit me the next moment. I stumbled back into the Hatter, gritting my teeth as blood rushed out of the wound and dripped red. I still sensed my arm, a phantom pain attached to the bone. I clutched at that wound. Although my still attached hand never touched the flesh itself, it soon became covered in blood as it shook near the stump. The doctor arrived with some sort of medicine that she applied to the wound. Ghostly chills covered the hurt till it turned to but an aching. Once the bleeding ceased, she bandaged my injury, warning me not to remove the bandage before I reobtained my arm. Shaking her head about mad nobles, she left. "Alice, could you reattach such a limb? You weren't a lizard, but a mere human." A little lightheaded, I shook off that question. "Alice?" The guard retrieved my arm, placing it into a sealed box before handing it off to another servant who took it away to a safe place. "You may enter, esteemed guests." The guard began to lead us in. "Alice, why are you like this?" "What are you talking about, Hatter?" We arrived at the Duchess's ballroom. Although the hostess was nowhere to be found, servants milled about the floor with refreshments for the guests. A quartet performed in the front. Food sat at the tables to the sides of the room. All around were faceless people dressed up like clowns. Faceless people. They were uninteresting people. They sent a few glances our way as we came without much fanfare. Already I didn't like them. Perhaps it was their beady, pig-like eyes. For all that they were faceless, I saw only clowns and swine. I approached a group, thinking to gain some information. "Hello." "Hello to you as well." The guests seemed wary upon seeing me, but showed a displeased reaction upon laying eyes on the Hatter, who had reluctantly followed me along. "And the peasant? Which one is it?" Ah, the one with the vermin. Where are your little raggedy friends? Oh no. The rat. And the hare. We should not have come. The Red Queen's little pet was happy to see them gone. Rabbit's always been like that. Rather than the rutting, she likes the cutting. Ah, an animal in such a position. I really do not approve. Her Majesty likes it. Well, she's gone now. You shouldn't say that. Speak of the devil, and she will come. The devil indeed. It's a shame that the White Queen's always been a fool. A pretty bird, but as a ruler. The Red Queen liked her well enough, and certainly from the rumors, she's done something quite pleasant. For us, you mean? Don't jinx it. The group stage whispered amongst themselves as they pointed to the Hatter like they were looking at a spectacle. The Hatter at the time was simply staring off into space. Is that lunatic glaring at us? This is the problem with peasants. It's staring at us. My, how uncomfortable. I believe the thing rolls around with the animals. Ugh. Tut tut, the animals are all gone. At least her Majesty has done for us in her pretty red rain of pretty red rain. That's a very pretty sentence. Her petty red rain of pretty red rain. Now let's get away from the filth. This stench of vermin is unbearable. I must ask the Duchess about who can be let into her ballroom. A servant passed by with a tray full of champagne. One of the guests removed 2 flutes from the tray and offered me one with a slur in her words. Have some alcohol. Did you have some business with us? No. I shook my head and turned away. Drink should be shared only in pleasant company. Let's take our leave from these people, Hatter. And chitter-chatter, and chitter-chatter. And there was the other guests making snide comments on the Hatter and giving her the side-eye, while stepping back from me of all people. Saying those things to my person. Someone who is mine, my Hatter, who deserved punishment, capital or otherwise. That was right, Alice. What a shame that I had no such power. Again, the distinction between Alice and this inner voice, which is probably the Red Queen, right? Moved to the sides where the food was, seeing as few people lingered by the refreshments for long. The 2 of us picked up some cakes and snacks. As I tasted it, I couldn't help but feel like the Hatter made better food. A tingly sensation spread through my body as I ate. Hatter, what's this? What? My voice changed pitches as I talked. One moment I sounded squeaky as a mouse, and at the next as low as an elephant. Me too. Playing with the odd refreshments, we found ourselves speaking like animals. Meow. Woof. Meow meow. Woof woof woof. Wonder what she said. Looked so pleased as she had made the world's greatest joke that had just gone unheard. Next we tried the pudding. Ooh. Discomfort filled my heart as if something dirty was coming out with each pulse, each squeeze of the ventricle, pulsing blood through the aorta. I hate you. Don't know how I deal with a bedlamite dog like you. I really, really hate you. It's red. Red's fault. I'll kill. No, dead. So I'm alone. Hatter blocked her words and stuffed a cookie in her mouth. Woof. The truth pudding? What needs to be done has to be done. Once it's done, we should certainly purge. It's been such a long time. I've got to punish that little bird. Oh my. Oh my, and your head will make a good decoration. There's not a worthy cell inside. You're a lunatic and a fool. Putting a hand over my mouth and clenching my jaw, I shut up as well till the distortion in my heart disappeared. I didn't mean to say any of that. That's some oddly specific shit you're spouting, Alice. What the fuck? pudding must have twisted our words. I as well. The pudding of truth. I once again say, the pudding of truth. Although we know from experience that it's the truth in both cases. Had it, Alice? As we experienced the strange food, the other guests continued to mingle and dance. This was a ball, so ball things they did. Music stopped, along with the chatter. It was at this time the Duchess made her appearance. She was a featureless woman who hid her face. Instinct told me that she was ugly, but I could not see anything, not disfigurement, nor beauty. She existed as the Duchess, but could not be seen. She could only be perceived. Tonight we have a special gift to be given to a single guest. She gestured, and a servant behind her came with an item hidden under a red cloth. A hushed whispering ran through the ballroom, as everyone guessed what could be hidden underneath that would make the Duchess consider it so special. We are holding a chess tournament. Usual game that ends when the king has fallen, even here where the king has long gone. Of course, the winner will receive the prize. I sort of moved the cloth. All around, the guests let out a collective gasp. What, you may ask? Why, it could only be our dearest Majesty's leg. It was a severed leg, the Red Queen's left leg. From the looks of the limb, it could fit perfectly onto the torso stump sitting at the Hatter's place. May the best strategist win. The Duchess clapped. Servants began to move out, setting up tables and chess sets in a matter of minutes. With a matchup list created, the tournament started. I made my moves with Hatter. I thought back to all the chess I had played with the tutors. I'd be relieved that at least I hadn't forgotten anything and everything. Losing each time had been a painful ordeal, so I too was glad that I remembered. Hatter had a brilliant strategic mind. And watch as she flung her queen into a crowd of pawns, only for it to be eaten alive. Most of the time. And now the Hatter proceeds to conglomerate her pawns into a mega chessatron. The last opponent was the Duchess. Around her lined up stood 1 1/3 dozen soldiers dressed up in black, like chess pieces. 1 1/3 dozen. 4. 16. 1 1/3 is 16? I got that right? Maybe. What is this? Why, human chess. Chess is the imitation of bloody war. In this land without war, we must take steps to make my life more interesting. This is what our dearest Majesty proclaimed. One of you two has to take the role of a piece, and then otherwise I will provide the other pieces for you to play with. I exchanged glances with the Hatter. Even now I couldn't understand what went on in those eyes, but I had already decided. Maybe I didn't want to see her potentially get hurt, as no one here cared for the life of a Hatter. Odder, what a thought to have. I rather liked her. I will take the role of a piece. Ooh. Well, obviously we're going to be the queen. And get flung into a mess of pawns, so let's do it. I chose to take the queen's piece role, for the queen had the greatest power on the board. I donned a fake white crown and was given a sword. Our white pieces shuffled in and took their positions on the board. Soon after the chessboard was set, a human-sized version of the strategy game unfolded. I just realized... Is Hatter throwing her queens away symbolic of her hatred of the Red Queen and likely the White Queen by proxy? Hatter started with the first move. Clang, clash. One by one, the pieces on the board fell, almost like dominoes. Perhaps knight to A. No, a piece of the board cannot speak. We're the players, and you are but a game piece. Finally, the queen came into play. The game had proceeded smoothly. The Hatter did not use me much, eyes sometimes darting wildly back and forth between my not-arm and the board. Blood splattered across the ballroom chessboard as some pieces hit their opponents harder than others. The servants had to move them off the floor. Click, clack, the sound of chess. Today was clash. Queen to f6. At the f6 position stood the Duchess's black queen piece. The hulking female knight with a cartoonish black crown eyed me as the Hatter spoke. Moved across the board, readying my sword to knock her down. The one-handed grip on the sword felt weak. The loss, even if temporarily, of an arm threw off my balance. Blood loss left a lingering lightheadedness. I attacked only for my sword to be thrown out of my hand by the black queen piece's parry. To make the match a show, the pieces had pretended to act out a fight each time one was to be taken down. Black Queen took that mistake as my loss in the confrontation, deciding that the move must have belonged to her. Oh! She lifted her sword and cut me right open with a great slash. Oh. This is unfortunate. Black Queen stabbed me again in the stomach. Oh, that's rude. The squelch, the blade pierced in and exited out from my back before being pulled out, along with the things that weren't meant to come out. A gurgling noise escaped my throat. I felt chunks move up my windpipe as I choked into my mouth. This iron, fleshy sensation surely wasn't a good sign. I grabbed my abdomen as the Black Queen stabbed me again. Overkill! Overkill! Black spots filled my vision. I slumped to the ground, unable to get back up. Red pooled out from underneath me onto the checkered board. Alice, you were just gutted like a fish. Is this how our game ends? Yeah. Actually, yes. Well, one more dead end to go. I am unsure what could be the trigger for that. I suppose let's give this chess match another go. This time let's be the king, shall we? I chose to take the king's piece role, for the king was the end of the game. While I was given a fake white crown and a sword, I was not a soldier. The white pieces shuffled in and took their positions on the board. Soon after the chessboard was set, a human-sized version of the strategy game unfolded. The Hatter started with the first move. Clang clash. One by one, our white pieces on the board fell, almost like dominoes. Perhaps don't deploy the queen. And no, a piece of the board cannot speak. We are the players, and you are but a game piece. Pieces came dangerously close to me. The sound of metal filled my ears. Warm blood splattered over my face as an overzealous knight beheaded our last bishop. Then guts spilled over my shoes when the Hatter took out the knight who had courted me. Black Knight must not have emptied his bowels before the match. Oh, that's gruesome. I've never been much for strategy. Hatter yawned and rubbed her eyes. All of our pieces had died, taken off the board with but a smear on the ground, aside for the pawns, whereas the Duchess had taken far fewer losses. I had a feeling that we were doomed. Alas, what can we do? No speaking. The game continued, and by bad luck, the Hatter made her way to the other side of the board. Promote it. Let that pawn turn into a queen. That's how it works, isn't it? I watched as the Hatter turned the game around with the remaining X-pawns. The Black King was surrounded. And checkmate, Duchess. Then we cut him down. The Duchess clapped her hands in congratulations. The servants cleared the floor. Wiping it down, they made it once more as sparkly clean as if the red had not just been spilled in a human facsimile of a game. One came along with a wet towel for me to wipe away anything that had gotten on me during the match. Congratulations, you are a true pair of master strategists. With this, the competition is concluded, and you two are the winners. Would you like to take your prize now? Yes. The Hatter bobbed her head up and down rapidly. Duchess gestured a servant over. Our dearest Majesty's leg. Do take care of it well, lest she comes back and has you punished for disrespecting the crown. I took the leg from the servant and handed it to me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the ball. the Duchess left again with her servant following after her. She seemed to have enjoyed the chess tournament. Just as quickly as she left, the chess setups were cleared away. The guests returned to eating, drinking, and dancing. Let's leave. She had no intention to stay. Neither had I, having accomplished the unexpected boon of finding a piece of the Red Queen. Found a servant to leave, and were redirected outward. We retrieved the sealed box with our entrance fee and handed it over. The Hatter opened the box for me. Inside lied my arm and a small jar of the same medicine from before. My arm still looked fresh. I unraveled my bandage to find an unchanged wound. Popping the arm back on the stump, I felt a strange knitting sensation at the connection point. I applied some medicine to the arm. With a squishing sound, my arm was reattached. The only remnant of its severance was a thin pink line that slowly faded into my skin. I exited the building and came to a garden. We had taken a wrong turn. Looking around, we spotted an exit at the far end of the garden, and the Hatter made a move to leave. I called out to stop her, extending a hand. We didn't have a chance to dance. Won't you give me the honor of one dance, Hatter? I won't. Maybe just one with you, Alice. I can't dance. I'm dexterous with my hands, but not so much with my feet. Hatter doesn't fit well with those things. Isn't that a problem? She hesitantly stretched out her hand, fingers hovering above mine. Oh, don't worry. Let me lead. I took her hand and we danced. Humming in place of an instrument quartet, I led her in steady steps, ignoring the way she stumbled over my feet. Left, right, left, right. Perhaps this was the most enjoyable dance I've had yet. I twirled the Hatter around. She was so light. Alice? Alice? Hatter? Might not be so bad after all. Oh. She made an expression like she wanted to cry. Oh, now I feel bad. I should have done this first time out. I rather like you, Alice. Only Alice. I rather liked her, too. Gave her another twirl and she let go. Reached up my fingertips, but she moved her hand away. Hatter hopped back with a skip and a spin. Then thus she stood by her lonesome. Close your eyes, Alice. Is she going to vanish? Did as she said. I felt her roughly stuff the leg into my arms. I heard a faint tapping noise, reminiscent of footsteps moving away from me. Then there was nothing. Waited, waited, and waited. Alice, how long did you want to wait for her? Waited a long time, clutching the leg in my hands. I opened my eyes. The Hatter was nowhere to be seen. Did she leave me behind? Although I walked around the garden, she was nowhere to be found. I decided to leave as well. Taking one last pass through the garden, I made my way to the exit. A sudden vertigo struck me. I'd had a long day. I reasoned as I held a hand to my forehead whilst trying to steady myself. My brain spun like a sloshed-up pit of mud. Discomfort in my head and my heart returned. I leaned back against a tree to take a break, looking upward. Eyelids flickering. I wondered if the sky had always looked so far away. My free hand, propped against the bark, slid downward unconsciously. I closed my eyes for a moment. Darkness. At some point I made my way back to the Hatter's place. This might be the end, so... I wonder if the self-sacrifice part of things is a decisively Alice move. It's off the Red Queen's arm. I crossed my arms and tapped my feet as the guard repeated his blocking words a handful of times more. While the thought of offering my own limb came up, I decided against it. As such, we needed to find another arm to give. While I'm loath to suggest this, we do have a spare arm back at the tea table. Her Majesty surely wouldn't mind, don't you think? Yes, indeed. She had no tongue to speak otherwise. How do we know that? We haven't seen her head, right? I suppose that's just a reference to, she doesn't have her head right now. Not a reference to the fact that her head has no tongue. We don't know that yet. With that, we made a trip back to the Hatter's place. the Hatter hopped over to the dog cage we had set up by the Red Queen. Popping it open, she pulled out the severed arm and quickly slammed the door shut. The limb flailed out in the Hatter's hands till she unceremoniously tossed it to me. This was the Red Queen's arm. I never quite thought that I would accompany Her Majesty to a ball. It gives me shivers. To me, it felt so obvious that this was the Red Queen's arm. I wonder if someone will recognize the arm. It could certainly be in a good deal of trouble. I would prefer not to have the trouble of getting the arm back if someone tries to take it away. They won't with Wonderland. They wouldn't want to recognize it anyhow. I've been here for a while, but this logic fascinates me. Wonderland. Took a tea break. According to the Hatter, it still was tea time after all. Shall we go on to the ball, milady? Although I'm afraid I've got no pumpkin carriage nor glass slippers for you. You're charming enough as is. Lead the way, Alice. Arm in hand, we returned to the Duchess's manor. The guard greeted us with the same phrases, asking for an arm as the entrance fee, to which we responded by handing over the arm that we had retrieved. He glanced at both of us, knowing that neither of us were missing a limb. The guard handed it off to a servant who put it in a sealed box and took it away for safekeeping nonetheless. You may enter, esteemed guests. And here we go. Dot dot dot. Suppose this won't change. Queen. Finally, the Queen came into play. I played with the sword in my hand. The hilt rolled comfortably in my palm. Pleasant, yet strange, as I didn't use a sword much. I was still perfectly fine with committing acts of violence with one. Yeah, about that. Nothing strange to see here. Now, swordsmanship was the one thing that the tutors hadn't bothered teaching. After all, it wasn't fitting for a lady. They really should have, as it turned out that I was quite good at cutting things down after some short exhibition blows. The Hatter directed me across the board. I attacked as told. Warm, sticky red sprayed all over me. What do you call yourself these days again? Alice? I see. Moved across the board, in a perfect match, letting our other pieces back me up, and cornered the Duchess's Black King in no time. Checkmate. Checkmate. I wonder if I had killed a king before. The Duchess clapped her hands in congratulations. Again, also... The Duchess clearly recognizes us as... the Red Queen. Let's be frank about that. The servants cleared the floor. Wiping it down, they made it once more sparkly clean, as if red had not just been spilled in a human facsimile of a game. Alright, we are free to go now. Where are we at now? Suppose we'll just skip ahead and see what changes down the line. So we're getting pretty close to the end now. Skipping ahead a little bit. I'm just kind of reading the whole scene, going back through time with the Red Queen and Hatter here. If I had to really adjust my thoughts about the relationship between the Red Queen and Alice, like, they really are two separate sides of the same personality. Like, if we're considering time linearly in here, since we were remembering things, going back through time in the past, from the moment the Red Queen was dismembered, to the moment, to, like, microcosm of the Red Queen's life in charge, up until her death, where Alice took control and threw herself off the balcony. And now to here, truly the first point, Alice meets Hatter, Dormouse, and March Hare. Like, some point after the... Again, we don't know. Maybe we'll find out if we go down the Red Queen path of sorts. Okay, well, let's just continue. And you too, March, Dormouse. I'm really sorry. This is new. It was nice meeting you, Alice. That was a random new bit of dialogue. But that was it. Strange. Here we are. Tell me who you're supposed to be. I'm the Red Queen. I am the Red Queen. The person who hurt you so much, it's me. In the end, it's me, whether I've taken on a different role here than before or not. I am the Red Queen, just as I am Alice. We can only be one and the same. I held out my hands behind my back, thinking about all the things I had killed, all the things I had hurt. Part of me relished in the violence. I'm sorry. I should have gone when you killed me. I should have atoned and never bothered you again. I wanted to see you one last time. More than I expected. I had fallen for you. Hatter walked towards me. Are you going to kill me one last time? I probably deserve it. She grabbed my cloak, pulled me downward, closer to her. Her grip tightened and then loosened as if she didn't know how firmly to hold on to me. That expression tells me that you'd really leave me alone after coming back and telling me such things. I really hate you, Alice. I know. Could I steal one last kiss? My lips brushed past hers. Pulled me down forward by the cloak and initiated another kiss, biting down my lip till she drew blood. Pushed me down onto the ground. Oh? I really hate you. You know, right? I hate you, Alice. So get mad. Keep bothering me. Keep doing what you always do and stay with me for tea. Her tears dripped down onto my cheeks. I know, but I love you. Alice. I love you, Hatter, so I can't stay. It's because Wonderland was a terrible bloody mess that we met. Perhaps in an ideal world we would never have crossed paths. I didn't know which way we would have gone. Perhaps each of us would be left with a gap in our hearts. Perhaps each of us would find something else to fill us up. But it was in this imperfect world that we met. This imperfect place was no fairy tale. Goodbye, Hatter. It was time for Alice to leave. A light surrounded me and I felt my body begin to crumble away, breaking apart to disappear from Wonderland. Perhaps I was already dead. If so, I had to thank whichever deity out there gave me the chance to say my goodbyes to the Hatter. With my remaining power, I let the current Wonderland crumble. The Red Queen's existence was not needed here. Let there be a Wonderland much more wonderful than this. Much more peaceful and happy. One where she could still smile. Oh, maybe I did know some German after all. Leb wohl. Means have a good life. In a land more wonderful than this, we would not meet again. That took on a much more somber tone than I expected. Though it makes sense. given that we had that, suppose in theory we gave in to our darker impulses as the Red Queen, so ultimately we come back just to apologize one last time before we go. In the sense that the world is better off without us. Still a lot to see.